Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the ultimate showdown of comedic titans. In one corner, we have the raucous, unpredictable, and outrageously funny movie The Hangover. That's a film that redefined the bachelor party comedy. And in the other corner, the nostalgic, heartwarming, and hilariously quotable Old School. A film that celebrates the enduring power of friendship and the refusal to grow up. Tonight, we'll dive into these two comedy classics, dissecting their strengths and weaknesses across 4 intense rounds. Round 1, it'll be personal opinion and nostalgia. We'll explore the subjective experiences and nostalgic connections each film evokes, tapping into the heart of what makes these movies so beloved. Round 2, awards and critical acclaim. We'll examine the critical reception and accolades each film received, weighing the opinions of experts and industry recognition. Round 3, it'll be the Wildcard round. Prepare for a whirlwind of fascinating trivia and behind-the-scenes facts, revealing hidden gems and unexpected highlights into the making of these comedic masterpieces, as well as a recasting. Then, we'll go to round 4, the final verdict. We'll put the ultimate question to our esteemed judge and overlord, Gemini, asking them to weigh the evidence and declare a victor in this epic battle of laughs. Get ready for a hilarious and insightful showdown as we determine once and for all which film reigns supreme, Old School or The Hangover. Enjoy the show. Daddy! Burn nuts on the chin of that one, Daddy. Nuts on the chin. Are you excited for today's big showdown?
Let's go, man. Let's go. So, great 2 phenomenal films. Can't wait to talk about them. Can't wait to stuff you in your locker.
I'm super excited for this as well. But before we can get into it, you know what we got to do? Do you know?
Do we need to do the tail of the tape?
Bern, it's now time for the tale of the tape. Bern, after that amazing video interlude, it's now time for the tale of the tape. We're going over Old School and The Hangover. Are you ready?
I couldn't be more ready.
Tale of the tape. All right. So, Old School. Release date, February 21st, 2003. The Hangover Part 1 release date, June 5th, 2009. Fun fact, saw both of these movies in theaters multiple times.
Same.
Old School, we got a runtime, 1 hour, 31 minutes. The Hangover Part 1, we got a runtime, 1 hour, 40 minutes. So, that's, R-rated comedies, it's you're not going too long. Hour and a half, $1.50, $1.25. That's what we're doing.
Sub 2, right? Sub 2 is a sweet
always
spot.
That's the formula for comedy. Film budgets. Old School. We got 20 mil film budget. 20 mil. Hangover Part 1, 35 mil. Your thoughts?
Well, I think that's really the difference between a movie that was made in 2003 and a movie that was made in 2009. I think 20 mil and 35 mil. It's probably about the same ask. You know what I mean? Like 6 years later, things have inflated, but they're probably being made.
Same director, though. I wonder how much is spent on talent as opposed to you got to think Hangover that's shot in Vegas. That's got to be expensive. You know what I mean? For the Old School, they all they had to do was rent a house, but they did have a ton of big names. I remember Snoop's in there and they had a really, some big name actors and stuff, but they weren't huge at the time. This was all Vince Vaughn was barely discovered. Will Ferrell, he had done SNL, but he hadn't really taken off yet. Lukewilson, so I wonder how much of the budget actually went into talent, as opposed to that fucking Mike Tyson and a
tiger.
Yeah. And they had, what's the blonde's name? She was in Austin Powers. Fucking blank. Heather Graham. Heather Graham. Fucking all-time smoke.
Don't you ever blank on Heather Graham. Listen, though, I'm saying 20 million, 35 million over the course of the way things moved in the 2000s from 2003 to 2009. I almost feel like they're kind of making this movie on a similar budget. You know what I mean?
Same director, I'd assume so.
Yeah, it's pretty close. Things got more expensive 6 years later,
Yeah.
but I'm imagine they're probably spending the same amount of money on talent, and
Yeah.
it's not like there's a lot of CGI in
And
these.
the formula is pretty much the same as far as like build the cast, build the story kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, yeah. So, okay. So then we're going to move on to opening weekend box office gross. Opening weekend box office for Old School, 17.5 million. So they almost made their full budget back first
Yep.
weekend. Opening weekend box office gross for The Hangover, 44.9 million. So they made their shit back week one, daddy. They were
Stomped it.
like,
Yeah.
oh, swimming in it. Worldwide box office gross for Old School, they topped out at 135.6 million. And then worldwide box office gross, and this is for Hangover Part 1, 467.5 million worldwide box office gross.
Not hard to argue that movie was a rocket. That movie was an
Rocket.
absolute rocket.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And there hadn't been like, I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think of comedies that were around. I know the Step Brothers had come out before then, but you know, that this is like a rocket of a comedy and everybody absolutely and everyone was talking about it. Movies were super big at that time. And then I want to do estimated DVD VHS sales. DVD VHS had kind of started to taper off at this time. We're just about to
yeah.
get into streaming. So we're looking at 75 million in DVD VHS sales for Old School, and then 100 million for, I guess it'd be just DVD sales for The Hangover. And then the studio. Can you guess the studio for Old School?
Was it Paramount?
DreamWorks Pictures.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
I would not have guessed DreamWorks.
Yep. And then Hangover was Warner Brothers. So I think
Okay.
Todd Phillips has been with Warner Brothers ever since then. I'd assume.
Yeah, and I think DreamWorks is
Because DC is under Warner Brothers, and he did the Joker, and the Joker's part of DC. So,
and I also think DreamWorks was an offshoot of Warner Brothers.
oh,
So
I think
like
you're right. I think
for
you're
an
right.
early
Yeah,
movie, they gave him like, hey, we'll let the smaller production company produce it. But then once
yeah,
he proved himself a couple times, they were like, all right, we'll throw the straight up Warner Brothers on you.
and
The
he's definitely
WB.
proved himself over and over again. Todd Phillips has been hitter after hitter, and it's like unique. Like, dude, the one line of like, and it's Todd Phillips who says like, "I'm here for the gangbang," right? Like, you know, like, come on. That's like so unique, and I think that's what people needed. But that was the tail of the tape. Are you ready for round one?
Bing. Let's do this shit, baby.
All right. Well, round one, fight. All right, Bern, like we said, round one is nostalgia and personal opinion. You will be defending Old School, and I will be defending The Hangover. We will each have 3 minutes to put out our claim, and the clock will start as soon as you're ready. Let me know.
Let's party. Listen, Old School came out in 2003. I was in college from 2000 to 2004. Actually, really like then again from 2009 and 2011, but let's not worry about that. I cannot tell you how much Old School took over like our general vernacular. I was in college going to frat parties
Mm,
while Old School was out. Do you know how many people yelled, I'm about to go streaking?
yeah, let's go
And
streaking through the quad. Yeah.
but then did, Maddie. Then they did, right? It got people naked in college. And you know, we were all younger then. It was maybe a little tougher to identify with the older guys who were coming in because the movie's about guys who lived that life, then went on
Yeah.
to live another life, and then decided,
Yeah.
man, life kind of sucks. Let's go back and live that old life. I'll
Yeah.
tell you who that didn't hit with. It was Will Ferrell. Will fucking Ferrell. That guy, I could see in every 22-year-old with stars in their
Frank
eyes
the
out
Tank.
there. Frank the Tank was funny in Old School as a 35-year-old guy, but he's way funnier as the guy who lives down the hall from you. I knew that guy. I already knew that guy. I knew who he was at 19. I knew who he was going to be when he was 40. Um, it's a brilliant film about hilarious scenarios that shows you don't have to be just 19 or 20 or 21 for these things to happen. If you really want them, you can be 40. You're telling me Stifler shooting Ferrell in the neck with a dart is not an iconic scene? Maybe
Yeah.
my favorite scene of the whole movie is when Vince Vaughn says, like, what's the name of the mascot? Gator. And he's like, hey, put the head on, shake the tail when you walk, man. Come on, we got a job to do. Like,
Little effort.
little effort here.
Yeah.
Um, it's a brilliant movie. It's got incredible one-liners. I cannot tell you how many times. Let's say it's 2025, right? We're a couple
Yeah.
weeks into it, right? I
Yeah.
have said the line cheese at least 3 times, and we're less than 3 weeks into the new
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
And by the way, he got out. Uh,
Yeah.
Old school, incredible, R-rated, have some fun comedy. That's all I need.
Bern, that was your time. Are you ready? Can I dive in?
Yeah, get after it, baby.
The Hangover is a comedic masterpiece that captures the wild, unpredictable nature of male friendships pushed to their absolute limit. It's a film that revels in the absurdity of life, reminding us that sometimes the most memorable moments are the ones we barely remember. Old school, while charming, plays it safe with its nostalgic take on fraternity life. However, The Hangover throws caution to the wind, delivering a nonstop barrage of outrageous situations, quotable lines, and unforgettable characters like the enigmatic Mr. Chow. It's a film that perfectly encapsulates the what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas mentality, leaving you in stitches and wanting more. There's, dude, honestly, coming out party for our boy, fan of the show, listener to the show, the one and only Bradley Cooper. One of my favorite lines, and I'll probably have to blank it, but one of the best lines of the movie, and it's early on. It's paging Dr. It's
Yeah,
boys being boys, guys being guys, hanging out, having fun. This film was a monster at the box office. Monster, and led to a trilogy of films. I mean, Galifianakis has built a career off of this. I was also really happy to see Galifianakis finally get his flowers for this role. He nailed it. The three best friends that anyone could have. Tons of quotable lines, nonstop fun, nonstop crazy stuff that happens. And like, I remember when my brother had his bachelor party, we bought a Mike Tyson face tattoo and put it on him just for fun. You know what I mean? Because that's just what you do, So this film, a lot of fun, a lot of it was crazy, a lot of stuff happening, and really enjoyed the hell out of it. And I really think it's, I loved Old School, but this one, it's Todd Phillips graduating to the next level and owning R-rated comedies. He is the king of R-rated comedies, Todd Phillips. That's my time.
we know, Matt. We know. We were ready.
So, okay, Bern, that's round one in the books. Are you ready to move on to round two, awards and critical acclaim? Are you ready?
Yeah, this is gonna be funny. Let's go.
All right, round two, fight. All right, round two. We're going to hit you with some awards and critical acclaim. This is going to be a 10-8 round for you boys, The Hangover. While both films were box office hits, The Hangover received greater critical acclaim and prestigious awards. The Hangover, Golden Globe Award for Best Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy, nominated for a Writers Guild of America Award for Best Original Screenplay, praised for its originality, sharp writing, and hilarious performances. Old School got the MTV Movie Award for Best Comedic Performance from Will Ferrell, and it's nominated for an MTV Movie Award for Best Movie, received generally positive reviews, but lacked the widespread critical acclaim of The Hangover. The Hangover resonated with both audiences and critics, cementing its status as a modern comedy classic.
Did Old School 2 and Old School 3 completely embarrass Old School 1? Oh, wait. No, they had the goddamn common sense not to do it again.
I do want to talk about this, Bern. Can we talk about this? So we're talking about awards and critical acclaim. I want to talk about some of the Oscar nominees from 2003, which was when
Ooh,
Old School came out. And then we're going to go over
okay.
some of the best movies of that year. Are you ready?
I am
So
prepared.
here we go. Pretty tough year. for Best Picture.
For old school.
Yeah, I mean, it's confusing as to why they weren't nominated for Best Picture, but here's going to be a rundown of the Best Picture nominees and the eventual winner. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Nominees for Best Picture. We have Seabiscuit. We have Mystic River.
Oh,
Yeah. We have Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World. We have Lost in Translation.
wow.
And the winner for Best Picture in 2003, Bern? Well, that was The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King.
Oh, they was the third. They finally did it. They finally did it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So
that's
it ran into kind of a buzzsaw. Then also a list of the best movies of 2003. Not on the Academy Awards list. We have Kill Bill Volume 1,
Jesus.
Time of the Wolf, Love Actually, Finding Nemo, The Last Samurai, anything else? The Tokyo Godfathers, Out of Time, Young Adam, The Return was on here, Old Boy, but I think those are fucking Dogville. Like these are all.
No, that the Return, Old Boy, Dogville, the originals of those are monster films. Those are monster films. Old Boy might have been international, but like that movie rules.
So that was for 2003. So tough year, tough snub, right? I mean, tough to break the lineup there for 03 for old school.
I'd put it ahead of Master and Commander.
Yeah, I agree.
But I don't think it's beating the Return of the King.
But even ones that got snubbed, like Kill Bill, Last Samurai, like those
Yeah.
are so good.
Great movies.
Great movies, So, all right. And Finding Nemo, that was another great one, But Bern, I'm gonna tell you, The Hangover. I mean, you thought that 03 to 04 was a tough year. 09. That was
What's
a year,
09?
Daddy.
Hit me with
Oh
the
nine
09.
was a year, Daddy. Are you ready? So here are the
I'm
nominees and best pictures for the 82nd Academy Awards, which would be the 2009, but this happened in 2010. Are you ready? Nominees for best picture for 2009. We have Up in the Air, which that was with Jason Wright. It's like Ivan and Jason Reitman.
It's a writing movie. It's the one with Clooney and
Yeah,
Kendrick, right?
yeah,
And
not bad.
yeah, not
And
bad.
then Up, the cartoon Up, which is the saddest
We're not-
cartoon of all
I'm
time.
not. Yeah, I don't really want to talk about that right now or ever again.
Then we
but-
have A Serious Man. It was a Coen Brothers movie. And then we have Precious.
Okay.
Then we have District 9. There's a lot of nominees. We have District 9.
District 9
Yeah.
rules, by the way.
Great movie. Then we have An Education. Then we have The Blind Side.
Oh, that has not aged well.
Then we have Inglorious Bastards.
That has aged really well.
Yep. Then we have Avatar. And then the winner for Best Picture 2009, The Hurt Locker. 2009 was a fucking year for movies. Get a load, Bern. Can I tell you? Can I tell you the list we got here of best movies of 2009? Are you ready? Here are the best movies of 2009. Like I said, Blindside, Hurt Locker. Then we have Star Trek. Dude, the first J.J. Abrams came out.
Oh, the Abrams one?
The first Abrams Star Trek dropped his nuts on the chins. This movie was so fucking good. Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, Simon Pegg. Like this movie, Eric Bana is the villain. Awesome
Saldana?
movie. Awesome.
Zoe Saldana, Carl Urban.
Here's another snub. Are you ready? Taken.
Wow.
Then we got Law Abiding Citizen, Sunshine Cleaning, Sherlock Holmes, Kill Shot. He's Just Not Into You. Zombieland, great movie. Crazy Heart, great movie. Invictus, great movie. Public Enemies, great movie. I mean, Whip It, I Love You, Man, Funny People, Whatever Works, Julie and Julia, It's Complicated, The Men Who Stare at Goats, right? The Informant, 500 Days of Summer, the Goods, Live Hard, Sell Hard. That was that Jeremy Piven. They finally gave him a
that was
gave
a
him
John
a leading role.
was a Carnahan movie, yeah.
Yeah, State of Play, Donkey Punch, and then we got X-Men Origins Wolverine, Monsters vs. Aliens, G.I. Joe, Rise of Cobra, The Brothers Bloom,
Brothers
then
Bloom is a pretty good movie, actually.
pretty good movie. Fanboys came out that year, and then Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. I mean, dude, 2009, that's a good fucking year at the movies,
Yeah,
babe.
there was some really good stuff
I
going on there.
saw a lot of these movies in theaters too, dude. But I'll tell you, like all those big movies came out that year. Star Trek is right up there. That movie was so good, so good. All right, so those were the best, best picture stuff and the snubs and whatever. 2009. I mean, tough year. '03 was tough, but 2009 was a tough fucking year, dude. You know?
Yeah, there were monsters. There were a lot more monsters in
Yeah.
2009. That's fair. That's fair. I will agree to that.
All right.
Monster year.
So are you ready then to keep it moving to head on to round three?
Let's do it, baby.
All right, time to head to round three for the wild card. Round three. All right, so like we said, we're in the wild card round now. So in this round, we're going to have some fun facts about both The Hangover and about Old School. And then, honestly, probably my new favorite thing that we're doing, Bern, we're going to recast these motherfuckers.
Goddamn right we are.
We're going to recast these sons of bitches. Start off this round, Bern and I, we're going to go blow for blow, shot for shot on some fun facts and some trivia from these movies. I'm really excited for this. Bern, I'm going to let you land the first shot. Is it going to be an overhand right? Is it going to be a left hook? Is it going to be an uppercut? He going to hit me with a body shot. We'll see. So, Bern, let me have it, Daddy-O. My dukes are up.
Body shot all day, every day, Mattie. So apparently, the idea for the movie about these three middle-aged men trying to return to their irresponsible fraternity days came from Todd Phillips, the director's friend. His name was Court Crandall. Earned a story credit for the film, though the final screenplay was written by Phillips and his writing partner Scott Armstrong. They wrote the part of Bernard with Vaughn in mind, having been impressed by his performance in Swingers and Maid, but he'd done such a good job of establishing himself as a dramatic actor that the studio didn't want him. They
Really?
didn't think he could do comedy. Todd really had to push for me, Vince Vaughn said. I think he even told him to watch me on Letterman to see that I could be funny. So, man, they wrote that part for Vince Vaughn, and the studio was like, no, we don't think he's right.
Yeah.
Imagine that movie without Vince Vaughn. That's insane.
It can't. It won't work.
Completely insane.
Dude, his charisma was off the charts in that movie. No Vince Vaughn, no movie.
It anchors the entire reason why we take it kind of seriously. So that was my first fun fact about Old School.
All right, Brian. Well, you landed a nice jab, but I'm going to pop you with an off angle right here. It's The Hangover. It's based on a real event. The decadence of The Hangover came from a real place. Producer Chris Bender told a tale of his friend Trip Vinson, a movie producer. Vinson apparently went missing from his own bachelor party in Las Vegas, only to regain coherence in a strip club, at which point he was told he had a massive bill to pay. So there you go. Based on a real story. Boom. Landed it. Nice. Why don't you try and return something, Daddy?
All right. Well, I'm going to show the little hand upstairs, but I'm going to come with the left. The house that they used in Old School, when they transformed into the frat house, was a real residential house located in Pasadena's Bushnell Avenue on a 2-block stretch that had been used for locations in a bunch of, for whatever reason, Michael J. Fox movies. That house was in Back to the Future 2, Back to the Future, and also Teen Wolf.
Damn.
So for whatever reason, MJ Fox had a house he really liked using, and the Old School guys said, we want to use it too.
Well, there you go. Well, Bern, looks like you got me on the ropes here, but I'm going to slip and come back with something. Did you know The Hangover, the script got rewritten? That's right. The screenwriting duo of John Lucas and Scott Moore crafted a script based on Bender's story and then sold it to Warner Brothers for a cool $2 million, right? After Todd Phillips came on board to direct, he and screenwriter Jeremy Garelick did a rewrite, which added Mike Tyson, his tiger, and the baby. However, the WGA gave Lucasson more sole screenwriting credit in arbitration. So there you go. Arbitration always gets you, Bern.
Yeah, nothing sexier than a little arbitration story. Did you know that the church in Old School, Will Ferrell gets married, shows up a couple years later in
Did
Todd
not.
Phillips's Wedding Crashers?
Oh, I did not know that.
Loves his locations. Once he finds a location he really likes, now I'm going to hit you with a little something different that was a little amuse bouche. Here's the
A
thing.
little Moosey Booshy.
We all know and love the band from the beginning of Old School, right?
Love
We
it.
know the
Yeah.
Dan Band. They go in there, they give you passion, they give you soul, they give you a couple little F bombs that you're not quite sure if you heard or not. The man's name is Dan Finner. His band started as a Hollywood nightclub band, just playing around, doing a bunch of covers from famous female singers. He's married to Kathy Najimy, who you might know from Sister Act and Hocus Pocus. And he continued to appear in Todd Phillips movies, from Starsky and Hutch to The Hangover. Now take this fucking look in my eyes, Mattie.
Bern, I'll tell you what, that was some stiff stuff, but I'm about to wobble you real quick. Here we go. Mike Tyson, you know him, you love him, almost didn't do the film The Hangover. That's right. Mike Tyson was written into the script, but when approached, he declined initially. Then he found out that Todd Phillips had directed Old School, and he enjoyed that movie immensely. That got Tyson to sign on for his cameo. Weirdly, Tyson has said that working on The Hangover set him on a good path to a healthy life. So there you go. Boom. Wobbled.
That is wobbling. Like to think that Mike Tyson playing that role in The
Could you
Hangover
imagine
was
it as Evander Holyfield?
like that set him straight. He was like, "Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I was the guy that you came and wrestled the
I
tiger
wasn't living
around."
well. And then, I mean, to be fair, he did get his one-man show and everything after this. Like,
No, listen, Tyson's been good since then, but it's
yeah.
funny you think this was a stabilizing force for him. All right, I got one more for you, but it's not gonna shock you. All
All
right.
right. Hit me, daddy.
The last day of the entire shoot on this movie was devoted to the Mitchapaloosa party. The one that starts with the surprise performance by Snoop Dogg and ends with Will Ferrell streaking through town. Ferrell had already shot the streaking sequence, and yes, he ran naked for real, apparently horrifying local looky-loos who had no idea they were going to be treated to a full frontal Ferrell. But he needed some liquid courage to drop trow in front of the rap icon. To actually, this is a quote from Will Ferrell, to actually be in front of Snoop Dogg that close naked, that was more intimidating than anything. So he'd already shot the streaking sequence, but he did then, on the last day of the shoot, have to just get naked in front of Snoop Dogg in front of all those people and see what happens.
Dude, Leah Remini and like all those girls were in the streaking scene. I would have been more scared to get in front of them. Like fucking
Right?
young Leah Remini. Oh, daddy.
Do you
King
think
of Queens,
do you
Leah
think
Remini.
do you think KFC's still open?
Well, Bern, that was nice, but this one's going to put you on the canvas. So just so you know, a notable name was considered to play the role of Jade. That's right. Before Heather Graham signed on to play the role Jade, the closest thing to a good role for a woman in the movie, Lindsay Lohan, was apparently in talks for the role. However, Phillips decided she was too young for the part. So yeah, Heather Graham, who is an all-time rocket smoke show, just
Top 10.
one of the most beautiful women of all time, Heather Graham, right? Top ever, right? She's up there with the Salmas, as far as I'm concerned.
Damn
Timeless
straight.
beauty. Heather Graham was considered for the role, or she was, put on to pull Jade, but Lindsay Lohan was considered for the role, but she was too young. So there you go. So, Bern, I put you down on the canvas there, but let's move on to the second part of the wild card round. Are you ready for a recasting? All right, Bern. Well, now it's the second part of round 3, which is now my favorite thing that we're doing. we're going to be doing a recasting. I will be recasting the film Old School, being that you're defending it, and you will be recasting the film The Hangover. But we can work together and play off of each other. So, Bern, I would like you to go first because I mean, this was so much fun last week when we recasted Dirty Dancing and Roadhouse. I think we fucking crushed the dick out of it. And yeah, I'm super excited for this. So Bern, you're recasting, and I have an idea for who you were talking about before, but go ahead. You're gonna recast The Hangover, please.
Yeah, so I have been tasked with recasting The Hangover. And man, this guy's gonna show up a whole lot. He's gonna show up a whole lot. But
Yeah.
the Bradley Cooper role is going to our boy Glenn Powell.
Dude, he's just too fucking good looking.
He's just too handsome. And
Mm.
did you see Twisters?
No, I didn't.
He, oh, well, he's also like kind of funny, man.
Mm.
Like, yeah, so I am going to be recasting Bradley Cooper's character of Phil as Glenn Powell.
Glenny Powell, baby. Glenny
Glenn Powell, he's
Powell.
back. He's back, man. He's back.
Loving it. Absolutely loving it.
He's just too goddamn good.
He's too great. He's too great.
There were two that really stood out to me here, right?
Okay, so who are you going for next? Can I give you a suggestion for Ed Helms' character, which is Stu?
Yeah, and that's the one I kind of need. That's the one I'm a little bit.
Who comes to mind for me? Max Greenfield. Do you know who he is? He's Schmidt from New Girl. Yeah.
Mattie, that is an incredible choice.
And I think he would fucking nail it because he's like neurotic, but funny neurotic, you know?
That was the one I was struggling with the most. Because for The Hangover, I really only have like 4 guys I have to get down. And I knew who Phil was going to be. I was a little on the fence about Stu. The Galifianakis character's name is Alan. Yes, that's Alan. Paul Walter Hauser as Alan. Guy who plays Stingray in the Cobra Kai series.
He's been killing it lately.
He's been in a ton of stuff, and he's shreds.
He was in Blackbird. He was really good. He played Richard Jewell, right?
Yes,
like he was in I, Tonya. Like he's been killing it lately. Paul Walter Hauser. Oh, great pull for Alan.
That
was the toughest part to figure out, you know?
See, for me, that was the easiest one. Just because I really, really love his work, and I really love like what an understated kind of hilarious guy he is. And I think he'd play the character a little bit differently, but I still think he would be like the absolute weirdo of the group and super funny. And as far as their buddy, the guy who's actually getting married, who spends the whole night on the roof. And I know the age doesn't work out perfectly, but that guy always should have been Ralph Macchio. He always should have been Macchio, and I'm gonna make him Macchio.
You're making Mach.
I want to make him the Mach, not the Mooch, not the Mooch, but the Mach. I think that guy always came off to me as kind of a poor man's Ralph Macchio. Just get Macchio, or I guess if we want to make it more age appropriate, I'd go Dave Franco. Dave Franco as the guy just who we barely see. So he gets a little bit of cred on the poster. People are like, oh, Dave Franco's in it. And then you realize he's got like one scene in the beginning and one scene in the end. After a tremendous amount of thought, Glenn Powell is going to replace Bradley Cooper as Phil. Paul Walter Hauser is going to replace Galifianakis as Alan. Max Greenfield will be replacing Ed Helms as Stu.
Yep.
Dave Franco will be replacing Justin Bartha as Doug.
Do you have, so for secondary characters, do you have anyone? I have an idea for replacing Chow.
Listen, if you have an idea for replacing Chow, hit me because
Bowen Yang would be
Oh
replacing
yeah.
Chow.
Oh, Bowen Yang replacing Chow. That's
Yeah.
perfect. And Heather Graham will be
You could also
replacing.
do, if you wanted to make a twist, you could do Ali Wong as well, if they have to maintain like an Asian character,
Ooh,
because
you
you
know
could go
what?
girl.
Let's go with Ali Wong
Yeah.
replacing Chow, Ken Jeong as Chow.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go with Heather Graham replacing Heather Graham as Heather Graham.
Oh God, Heather
Heather
Graham.
Graham stays, or we're
She
not making
hasn't
the
aged.
goddamn
She
movie.
can
We're
still
not
do
making
it
the
in
movie.
modern times. She has not aged.
Heather Graham stays, or we're not doing it.
Oh God, she's so fucking hot.
If there's like one more B character, we got to sneak in there because there were like a lot of hilarious performances in that movie. I would take Rob Riggle,
Mm-hmm.
his character as the cop, the in the face guy, and I would replace him with Shane Gillis.
Love it. So, okay, that was awesome. So that was the recasting of the Hangover. So I'm going to be recasting the old school. So the characters I'll be recasting someone to play Mitch, who was played by Luke Wilson. I'll be
Mm-hmm.
recasting someone to play Beanie, who was played by Vince Vaughn. I'll be
Yep.
recasting someone to play Will Ferrell, who played Frank the Tank. Then I'll recast someone who played Jeremy Piven's character, who was
The
Pritchard. They just
Dean,
have like the Dean Pritchard or whatever.
Dean Pritchard. Yep.
And then I think I might recast Juliet Lewis's character, right? For
Okay.
fun, you know? And then also maybe Craig Kilborn's character.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, actually Kilborn's character is pretty he's not in it
Because he was like
much,
the dickhead
but
that
he's
was
a real
cheating on. Yeah.
scumbag though. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Dude, that, I mean, yeah. And then I will keep Leah Remini because goddamn, Leah, she's got that like Italian mean hot. Oh, I love it. Fucking love it, daddy.
And
Oh,
listen, I think if we can agree on one thing, there's no recasting of blue, right? Blue
no,
is blue.
blue
Blue
stays.
is blue.
Yeah.
Blue stays.
I don't know. I mean, I could put some B-level guys in there to recast some of them,
No
but
one's no, it's not worth it.
no.
No one's gonna blue like blue did.
So, okay. So,
All right,
are
take
you
it
ready for
away.
my recasting? Yeah.
Yeah, take it away.
So, here's what I got. So, my first thought to recast Frank the Tank, I have as Stavros, right? Stavros,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Because he's like
Okay.
a big party guy, big high energy party guy, and I think he could do it. You know what I mean? Like he's a vibes guy, big high energy, and he's a fun guy that can sell the lines. Like I really think he could fill in there. Then I have a sleeper guy who
Well,
he kind of, when I was researching this, he kind of fell into my lap. So there,
real quick for Stavros, like he can also have that kind of calm, like, oh, we're gonna go to, Bed Bath and Beyond tomorrow, and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Home Depot if we have the
He can
time. You
play
know what I
like
mean? Like,
yeah. He can be like the guy he has to be is like the guy who he's a changed man, but
yeah,
then we want him to revert back to Frank the Tank.
yeah, but he's not really a changed man. That animal's inside of him the whole time. That's
Yeah.
actually great call. That's a great call.
So then the other guy has to be so for Piven. Do you know who I thought of for Piven to replace Jeremy Piven was John Mulaney.
Oh,
Because he can be like a
yeah,
snarky, like
yeah.
sarcastic. Like I think he could really be funny with it, you know?
That guy definitely gets thrown in a dumpster. You know what I mean?
Oh,
When he's
yeah.
20.
You could totally see him being picked on and now coming back at people. Totally.
All right.
Right. Then I had a thought for Vince Vaughn's character, right? So Beanie, and I wanted to go with like a kind of unknown guy so much. So there's this show, and it used to be on it was called The Late Late Show with James Corden, right? You know it, you love
Mhm.
it. I
I'm aware.
fucking adore that show, right? I absolutely adored that show. It's not on anymore, and I really, really loved it, right? One of the co-head writers for that show, who became like a sidekick co-host almost, his name was Ian Carmel, right? And when the show started, he weighed like 350 pounds. He lost like 100 something pounds while on the show. He became a massive part of the show during COVID because they couldn't have an audience, and he became like a sidekick. And he was just so funny, right? But he was also like really kind of charismatic in his own way. So for Vince Vaughn's character Beanie, you have to be super charismatic. You have to be really quick-witted, and I just thought like this guy, Ian Carmel, was just, he nailed it, absolutely nailed it.
So I don't know Ian Carmel that well. I will check out his stuff, but like he have like a ringmaster quality? You know what I mean? Like he's got to be the guy who like is able to keep the circus on the rails.
Oh, yeah. And he's like, super like, you could see him being like, oh, this guy knows everybody kind of thing.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Listen, Matty, that's that one's a little out there. I'm not
Yeah.
saying
It
it's
was a
wrong.
sleeper. He's a sleeper pick.
Okay. I will dive into his work.
And then I'm really struggling for Luke Wilson's Mitch, right? Because it has to be a guy that was like thought things were going right, and then we find out he was out working, and then he comes home and his wife's about to have a gangbang. And
Oh,
I legit thought of Shane Gillis to play Mitch.
see, I actually have a better suggestion.
Oh, please.
Yeah, Bern Podcasting.
Oh, I mean, that's art
Oh,
imitating life, is it not?
uh, Gillis, right? So you would have Gillis as I mean, kind of your straight man.
But
Um,
he could also be fun, but he might be too funny for that. But he could add something like yeah, no, Luke Wilson didn't have any one-liners that stole the show. You know what I mean? But like I don't know. I don't know. I
no,
don't
listen,
know.
I think you're onto something. Did you see Gillis's show on Netflix? Did you see Tires?
Oh, but that's the other thing. Gillis and Stavros are already in tires together.
Yeah, and I think Gillis did that like that was his own deal. No, I actually kind of like Gillis as a straight man in that because I can see like of all the guys who are like, oh, I got home and there was my wife for the gangbang and I went fuck it in the most natural kind of way of like, all right, well, fuck it. Like I don't give a shit about anything anymore.
You know who else is someone who could play it, who could play the straight man, who could probably throw in a good one line here or there, and he's a Philly guy, Miles Teller. Because they got to be good looking, but not super. You know what I mean? Like, I really think Miles Teller could do it too.
Listen, I think and I don't want to recast your recast, but Miles Teller seems like the natural Vince Vaughn to me. Miles Teller seems like a beanie to me. He seems like the guy who's out on a limb, but trying to get everybody on the same page.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That role might be not enough for Teller to do. Teller might do too much there. I think Luke Wilson was really good there because he was just like, I'm going to play off these maniacs.
Yeah.
Um, well, now I'm shitting on your recast. I'm not trying to do that.
So you think you need someone stronger to play, because Vince Vaughn was basically an unknown going into, all he had was charisma, because he was all charisma in Swingers and he was all charisma in Made, right? So
Yeah.
like all he had for this role was charisma. And I'm telling you, this Ian Carmel guy, I just saw
Well, that's
charisma.
that's the thing. I don't know Ian Carmel well, so like maybe I'm missing that. But like,
All right.
te-
Maybe too, like Stephen Amell could play Mitch. You know what I
Mitch,
mean? Just like the good looking
yeah,
guy.
I think Amel is I think over Gillis or Miles Teller. I think Amel is a better choice, especially with the other guys you have cast. Because like Stavi's gonna
Stavi's
crush
gonna
it
wreck as
as
Frank.
as the
He's
tank.
gonna
Yeah,
wreck as
he's gonna
Frank.
crush. And
Yeah.
him running down the
And
street
then
naked,
Mulaney's gonna crush as Piven, you know?
I
And
got
then
out.
I think that like I really think Ian Carmel he'll be my sleeper. If I could put someone else in as Vince Vaughn, maybe we'll throw Miles Teller in there as Vince Vaughn, like as Beanie, and he can combat with Mulaney, something along those lines. And then Luke Wilson's character, it could be a Mel, right? Like he could be
I think Stephen Amell's
because
a
he's
good
like
call there.
he's great, but he doesn't want to. He's not there to steal the show. Like he's letting these other guys do the heavy lifting. You know,
He's gonna hit every line
hit every
perfectly,
line. He
and
will hit every line.
not he's not gonna steal the show. He's gonna let the big performers be big,
Yeah,
but he's gonna snipe
yeah.
everything they
He'll
leave on
put
the
in his
table.
shots. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then and then Craig Kilborn. I also for a secondary character to fill in the character for Sean William Scott. You know, the guy that he handled the animals
Yeah, it's in your
at the
neck,
party.
bro. It's in your
Yeah.
neck, dude.
It's in your fucking neck,
It's in your
man.
fucking neck, man.
So I thought something came up, Jason Momoa to play that guy because I think he would nail it because I think he'd be like
That's
fun with it.
that's hilarious because
Yeah,
he's actually the kind of guy who should be wrangling big animals, like a really big, beefy dude who looks like he
yeah,
grew up on a farm with them. I think
yeah.
Momoa would kill that.
And then
Um,
for to replace Craig Kilborn as Mark, there's Jai Courtney. Do you know who Jai Courtney is?
I do know who Chad Courtney is.
Yeah, he's this Australian actor. He's like this good. He's it could be him, or I
He
also
pl-
thought of like Luke Evans, just like a good looking like they can be intimidating and good looking, like
so
that.
Jai Courtney played Captain Boomerang in both of the
Correct. The
Suicide
Suicide Squad.
Squad
Yes.
flicks. The first one that was not that great, and then the semi remake that was way
He's
better.
also in American Primeval, and he's really good.
Ooh, I
And
haven't checked
he has
that
like
out
a
yet.
Western accent. He nails it. But yeah. So there you go. So okay,
Mattie, do you have a recast for
Juliette Lewis.
well, I was gonna say Luke Wilson's love interest as it goes on, but
Oh, Ellen Pompeo.
yeah,
Man, who
that's
is?
Dr. Gray, right? From Grey's Anatomy. Is that who
Yeah.
she is? Yeah, yeah. Pompeo, Ellen Pompeo. I mean, she's not in she like shows up three times and is like, that's weird. You're weird. Hey, I'm into you. So it's not a although I think I'm
Uh,
actually more interested in your Juliette Lewis recast.
so man, okay.
Like,
Uh, I would love I don't. It's weird. I see is it weird? I see like Brie Larson playing Juliette Lewis's character. Is that
that
weird?
I think Brie Larson could play either one of the characters. I think she'd rather play Juliette Lewis's character.
Well, you know what? Jennifer Lawrence can play Juliette Lewis's character, and then Brie Larson can play.
Oh, I like that. I like
Yeah.
that. Jennifer Lawrence plays Juliette Lewis's character, and then Brie Larson plays um Pompeo's character.
Or I mean, one person I'm always trying to get in on everything is it could be Emilia Clarke plays the love interest, the good love interest.
Be way funnier if she played Juliette Lewis's character, but I think you're right. I think you're right. I think you're right. All
All
right.
right, let's talk. So Luke Wilson, who played Mitch, I'm gonna recast with Stephen Amell. Then Will Ferrell, who played Frank the Tank, I'm gonna recast with Stavros, right? Stavros Malakanakis, or whatever the hell you say, right? I don't know.
Stop it.
Stavi. Everybody knows Stavi. Then Jeremy Piven, who played Dean Pritchard, I'm gonna recast with John Mulaney.
That's
I think will
perfect.
be great. So I have two thoughts for Vince Vaughn's character Beanie. Like I said, Ian Carmel, he's a slightly unknown comedic actor who is the co-head writer on the Late Late Show. Really funny guy. I think he has the charisma to do it if we were going to go with a sleeper unknown. But as far as a known actor, I could totally see Miles Teller crushing this role and
Yep.
nailing it. Shout out Philly always. And then to recast Juliette Lewis's character Heidi, I'm going to put Jennifer Lawrence, which will be fun.
Love
And
it.
then to recast Ellen Pompeo's character Nicole, who becomes the good love interest, I'm going to put Emilia Clarke because she's just the sweetest. And then for Craig Kilborn, I'm going to change it up. I'm going to recast it. You know who I'm going to put?
Who's that, Matty?
You know who I'm going to put, Bern? He's turning into a fan favorite on this show. Put Glenn fucking Powell, baby.
Oh
Glenn fucking
my
Powell.
God. Oh, Glenn Powell. We cannot listen. Hollywood cannot make a movie without Glenn Powell. We cannot recast a movie without Glenn Powell. It's
It.
Glenn Powell's
It's Glenn
world, and
fucking
we're
Powell.
all just living in it.
Yep. So we got Craig Kilborn. He plays Mark. I'm gonna recast that with Glenn Powell. And then my shout out secondary character, I'm gonna recast Sean William Scott character Peppers with Jason Momoa. And maybe we can have like a fun little thing with Emilia Clarke and Jason Momoa too. Who
Just a
knows?
moment. Just a glance.
Just a moment in time.
Just a
That's all we've
glance.
ever wanted. Shout out to Matt Walsh, who was in both movies. Actor Matt Walsh in both movies. Shout out, fan of the show, listener to the show. But that is my recasting. Bern, are you good to move on to the final round? All right, Bern, we're now going to head. That was the end of the wild card round, round 3. We're going to head to round 4. Round 4. All right, Benoit, it's round 4, and in this round, we're going to get the final verdict from our AI overlord, the one and only Gemini. I reached out to Gemini. I said, hello, Gemini. Can you please tell us what movie you think is better, Old School or The Hangover Part 1? Are you ready for the answer, Bern?
Let's do it.
I asked AI, I asked Gemini, I said, hello, Gemini, can you please tell us what movie you think is better, Old School or The Hangover Part 1? They respond with us. They said, this is a tough call. Both Old School and The Hangover Part 1 are hilarious and hold special places in the hearts of comedy fans. But if you have to choose a champion, I'd give the edge to The Hangover. And here's why. Originality and surprise. The Hangover delivered a fresh and unexpected take on the Guys Gone Wild comedy. Its mystery-driven plot, outrageous situations, and quotable lines felt genuinely new and exciting. Old School, while funny, trod more familiar ground with its fraternity-themed humor. And that's only because, like, you know, Animal House and things like in Nerds and all those things had come before then.
That's fair. That's fair. I wanted to be really mad about that, but that's kind of fair.
Yeah. So, and then the second thing it says unforgettable characters from the Wolfpack themselves to the eccentric Mr. Chow. The Hangover introduced a cast of characters that have become iconic in comedy cinema. Each character is distinct and memorable, contributing to the film's overall hilarity. And then it says cultural impact. The Hangover became a pop culture phenomenon, spawning catchphrases, memes, and countless imitations. Its influence on comedy is undeniable, and it continues to be a go-to movie for laughs. That is true. It then finishes by saying, while Old School has its own charm and nostalgic appeal, The Hangover pushed the boundaries of comedy, taking risk and delivering a truly unforgettable and hilarious experience. It's a film that continues to surprise and entertain, solidifying its place as a modern comedy classic. Boom. There you go. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. But yeah, it was The Hangover. I mean, to be fair, I mean, you know, nostalgia, I think where it's a feeling, you know, round 1, we're always feeling each other out. We're just feeling each other out, right?
Yeah, well,
round two, though, was a 10-8 round. It was definitely a 10-8 round in round 2. Round 3, I think I took it because I got a couple more fun facts. The recasting was awesome. But then, yeah, round 4, the championship rounds, I mean, that's just, it says it all. So, I mean, well-fought battle, Bern. Really put our toes to the tape there. Had a lot of fun. But what do you got before we rowdy 5, Daddy?
I mean, you can't argue with the cultural phenomenon that The Hangover was. I will say Old School comported itself with respect by not making like 4 more Old Schools that all got worse and worse as they went along. They knew when to quit. But you look at those numbers, you look at the tail of the tape, you look at the money, and you remember, like, I mean, how big The Hangover was. Now, I will argue that Hangover stood out more because there were less R-rated comedies happening at the time. But doesn't that also kind of make it more important that someone was willing to throw their ass on the line when there were no R-rated comedies being made? So while I prefer Old School and I will take Old School to the mat, I don't feel bad about this one. I think it's pretty fair. I can live with Hangover winning this battle for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, speaking of Hangover winning this battle, this has been another episode of the Working Perspectives Podcast presents Ask AI. I'm Matt Lavelle, accompanied by the one and only Bern Podcasty. In case you're wondering, you can find all our stuff and all our content and all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. You can also on Instagram at Working Perspectives Podcast. Join us on Twitter and TikTok at WorkingPod. And if you'd like to be a guest on the show, please email us at workingperspectives@gmail.com. And please like and subscribe. We'll keep bringing you this incredible content. Bern, great show tonight. As always, had a lot of fun. Love you. Love you to everyone out there. Thanks. See ya. We're going streaking through the quad. Let's go.
You think KFC's still open?
Bring your green hat. Hey, Snoop, bring your green hat.